Hello and welcome back to my craft room. I've decided it's time to have another little play with my ScrawlrBox for, this was the June one. I did have some reservations about this, and although I love all the products, I'm just not sure they all work together properly. Let me show you what I mean. So this was the box. Ignore all this for now. So I guess the main thing really was these amazing neon Pintor pens. So they're kind of like, I think of them as a paint pen, but I think they're pigment ink rather than acrylic paint. I'm not sure. I'm sure somewhere they refer to them as pigment ink. Anyway, they work like a paint pen and they're brilliant. And I've got a whole collection of Pintor pens in different colours, but I didn't have any neon ones. So these are great and I'm a big fan of them already. However, it was quite a limited colour palette, but then that's the challenge, isn't it? You know, and it's now lovely to have them to add to my collection. We also got this purple micron pen in a 0.5 size, so quite a fine point. I did find that with both of these I could use them on a palette with a brush and some water and kind of almost use them like paints and mix and blend them and stuff, so that was good. I enjoyed that. Here was the challenge. A little sticker. So this was the substrate that we got this time. It's this Frisk Bristol board, and now I love Frisk Bristol board. I've got, just by way of example, I've got some myself. Obviously it's not the ScrawlrBox special, but it's Frisk Bristol board. It's the same thing, it's the same weight and everything, just a bit bigger, and it's brilliant stuff. You can see I've nearly used up this pad of it, and I think I've got a giant one somewhere as well. It's lovely, really smooth, bright white paper, and one of the great things is you can use it on both sides. So one of the things I've used it for is when I'm trying to construct something, when I'm trying to plan something that I can see from both sides, so I can actually fold, and if I'm doing like a pop-up page or something like that, it's brilliant for that kind of thing. But I hadn't used it for paint pens at all before, and I didn't think it worked very well with these. This is the piece I actually did for my challenge. It's all right. I wasn't really very happy with it, and I didn't enjoy it because I just didn't enjoy the way the pens felt on this paper. I don't even enjoy the way they feel now that they're dry. It's all dried up kind of rough, and it sets my teeth on edge. I'm going to put the paper to one side, but I'm going to come back and do another video soon where I'm actually using this Bristol board paper for what I think it's really good for. But yeah, it'll be too much to put in one video. So what I'm going to do today is try out these pens on some different surfaces. I am going to have another go at a kind of some kind of picture, and I'm going to use this now. Zoe of Zoe Artist, I'll link to her below. Check out her channel if you haven't already, it's brilliant. She recommended trying this. Obviously they're saying it's perfect for Posca. Zoe says they're equally good with these as well, so I treated myself to this. It wasn't terribly expensive. I think maybe it was $8.99 on Amazon. It wasn't an awful lot. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I haven't even tried it yet. I love the feel of the cover and everything. So this is an Art Gecko sketchbook. I love when things are ring bound, so that when you open it opens really flat. I love little touches with Art Gecko stuff like the texture. There you go. It's got that gecko texture, which I love. And I think sometimes they have, the little gecko footprint on the back is actually kind of debossed into the surface, and it's got that holographic finish. Little things like that, doesn't matter to the functionality of the thing, but it makes it all more of a pleasure to use. So let's see what, it's got the little gecko symbol there. Oh yes, this feels lovely and smooth. Feels quite like the Bristol board actually. I'll be interested to see if you can use both sides of it in the same way. Does it feel slightly shinier on one side than the other? I think it does, so I'll be interested to see if it works the same on both. So this is 250 GSM again, so pretty solid stuff, and there are 30 sheets. That's pretty good for that price, I think. So I'm going to be trying that in a bit, but I will do a speed through version of that, or it might even end up in another video depending on how long the rest of this takes me. So I'm going to put everything else to one side for a minute. Now, if you haven't used these before, bear in mind that when you first use them, you need to shake them for, especially on that first time, to shake them for a really long time, longer than you would think. And the very first time you'll use them, you'll see that the tips are just white. You have to just pump it a few times till the colour comes through. You also might notice that it's going to be messy to do it now, that the nib will just come in and out. Don't worry about it. it doesn't keep falling out or anything when you're using it. It does seem unusual. Maybe it's because you can replace the nibs or something. It does seem unusual, but it's never been ever been a problem. So I'm going to give them a good shake up. Actually, what I could do is just shake them all at the same time, eh? So they're all kind of ready to go, and these are some of the other surfaces I just wanted to show you that you can use them on. I haven't tried it on this, but the thing is, everything I've ever tried them on, except for glass, I wasn't too successful on glass. So this is a little pot I experimented on ages ago now, with some pastel colour Pintor pens that I've got, and it's this kind of it's one of these kind of eco-friendly bamboo based materials, lovely and smooth. So yeah, they worked really well on there. Unfortunately, I've messed that up since, getting paint all over it. I'll probably redo that at some point. The great thing is that when you use them on, if you use them on fabric, for example, once you've heat set them, they're permanent. Okay, so I've been and checked my facts, and yes, you can make it permanent on glass and ceramics and things by baking it in the oven at 160 degrees centigrade for 50 minutes. And on fabric, you need to just iron it. Use a hot dry iron, no steam, iron it for 10 minutes. Obviously, you need to keep moving it so as not to burn your fabric, and that'll make it permanent. And then you can put it through the wash, dishwasher, everything, which is fantastic. I have to say, I've tended to use them more for craft things where they're not going to end up being washed and things. So anyway, I've got together a variety of surfaces to try here. There are some that I haven't got here, like you can do leather, you can do glass. I've tried glass before, and it's the only thing I've not been that impressed with them, but we'll see how it goes. This time I've got this acrylic, little acrylic piece, which is going to have a kind of similar effect to glass, you would think. I don't know, it'll be different. But I've got that, and a little china bowl that I tend to have on my desk for beads, so I'll have a go on that as well. And I've got a stone. Of course, the stone is more kind of porous. A lot of these surfaces are porous, and I think they will perhaps work better on the porous surfaces, so we'll see. I've got these little wooden key rings I bought cheap in a little craft shop, The Works or somewhere, years ago. I've got a little magnetised canvas. Get this open. It's actual canvas that's got a magnetic back to it, so you can use it as a fridge magnet. I've also got a little piece of craft foam that has a self-adhesive peel-off sticky back on it. I've got some shrink plastic in black, just to see how that looks. I've got my heat gun handy. I've got a little piece of fabric that used to be, as you can see, a shirt pocket. So that's all different surfaces I'm going to try it on today, and then I will do a speeded through version of a little some kind of little art piece in that sketchbook, which may or may not end up in a separate video. It depends on how long this goes on for. This may be a part 1 and part 2. Okay, so let's have a go. What shall I try first? I don't think I'll have to do anything to make it permanent on the wood. I think it would just be permanent on the wood. I guess you could always put a varnish over or something if you wanted to. So I'm just going to kind of do a radiating thing. I'm going to do a pink centre. I've shaken all these already. Sometimes you need to shake them up again and pump them again during use. I did check while I was looking up those temperatures. The official description of these is a water-based pigment ink paint marker. That's why it's confusing, because you think paint marker, you think of acrylic paint pens, don't you? Like, I think Posca is acrylic paint, I think. So these are different, but seem to work in very much the same way. So that's the kind of thing that can happen where it looks like the nib's coming up, but just like, don't worry about it, it's fine. Let's see how this goes. I maybe should have penciled my design on first. Now it is sort of bleeding into the grain a little bit, not too bad. But it gives a lovely, and that's just one coat, it gives a lovely solid coverage. Neon colours are incredible. It's funny, I don't think I'd ever have gone out to buy neon colours, but now I've got them, I will enjoy playing with them. I'll have to find out if you can replace the nibs on these, if that's why they're kind of just loose like that. Because when you are using them, of course, on all these different surfaces, I guess, you know, you might damage the nibs eventually. although they're pretty robust. And they do also come in lots of different nib sizes, which is nice, right down to really fine. The range of colours is incredible. There are some metallic ones as well, which are nice. And I might want to go over and do another coat, but at the moment it's looking pretty solid as it is, so probably won't. Right, I'm going to fill in the rest of this with the green now. So they're such a joy to use these. They just feel so lovely to use. That's why I was so disappointed where as soon as I touched them to that paper that came in the box, oh, they just felt horrible. And I'd hate to think it put people off the markers, because it's not the markers and it's not the paper. The paper's brilliant for other things, but just not for these. There we go. I'm going to leave that just to get completely dry. I think it's pretty good actually already, and I might just turn over then and do something on the other side. So that's the wood. What shall I do on this one? The trouble is we are a little bit limited with the neon, what we can do with the neon colours. Shall I just do a little rainbow? Until I've heat set it, I think I can still take it off, even if I have to use kind of, I mean it's water based. So if it's on a non-porous surface, I can probably still take it off until I've heat set it. There we go. Yeah, you can see how streaky that is. So I'm not so impressed with that, but I'll try giving it another coat in a minute. Let's carry on and do the rest of the little sort of rainbow. Try a second coat, but at the moment I'm not at all impressed with that. Right, let's try a little stone. This time I'm just going to write a little word on there, because I'm just doing it as a, or should we just do a little heart and a, there we go. So again, I think that will want a second coat. That's that. I've got to come back to them in a minute. Let's try the little china bowl. What shall I do on this? It's amazing to think you can do this and then it can be permanent. I think if you had a huge, you know, or just a less kind of less confined palette, just think what you could do. Okay, so that's just a little flower in the bottom of my bowl. We've done the wood, we've done the china, we've done the stone. Is that dry yet? Takes obviously a little bit longer to dry on the non-porous surfaces, but it's nearly, except for where the little blobs are, it's dry. Let's try some fabric. Now I'm thinking with the fabric, I've got this, oh, I left it here to show you. I've got this little project sort of half on the go. It's a skirt that's too small for me that I'm going to do like we used to do in the 70s. Some people watching might remember. And we used to do with our jeans, we used to cut a slit in the bottom part of the legs and then set in an extra triangle of fabric, contrasting fabric, to make them really kind of bell bottoms, and then we would do matching patch pockets. So I thought I would do a similar thing with this skirt to make it usable again. And I also, because I couldn't resist it, bought some of these which I might use around the edges of it. I know it all looks a bit much, but and it's very 70s, but yeah. So I might end up using this as some kind of a patch to coordinate, we'll see. So I'm kind of using that as my inspiration. So maybe I'll do a flower, and I'm thinking I'll use the Pintor pens, and then I will stitch. I'll get some, I've got a rainbow of colours of embroidery thread. I will then embroider around all of the outlines to make an interesting patch out of it. So I'm going to do, I think I'm going to just do a flower again. Be interested to see if this bleeds. When I've used Pintor pens on fabric before, it hasn't, but it, you know, obviously it's going to depend on the type of fabric. This is probably a poly cotton, I imagine. Feels like a poly cotton. At the moment, no sign of bleeding at all. It has gone through there a bit, so you'd want to protect your surface, but I've got a glass cutting mat, so it doesn't matter. And it probably will take a little bit longer to dry, but you can see it's not, well, it's bleeding out a little bit, but you could just allow for that, just stay inside the outline a little bit and allow for it to just bleed slightly outside. But yeah, quite like that so far. I might try something fancy, like slightly blend the colours out a bit. So if I start with a There we go. So that's my fabric version. So what should we do on this one? I'm just going to do a word. I'm going to do the word love on here. And when this layer has dried, I'm going to go over the top of these letters with a contrasting colour, just so we can see how well they layer over each other. There we go, just leave that to dry for a little bit. I think on here maybe I'll just do a smiley face, see if I can leave the black out. Let's let that dry a minute. It's a bit patchy, but we'll see. And then last but not least, let's have a go with the shrinker. Oh, this has actually got print on it. I didn't realise that. I can't imagine that's going to show very well by the time it's shrunk down. So let's cut a shape out. I've punched myself a little hole in that. I'm going to colour in some of the parts, but I'm also going to add an initial on there as well. So let's put A for Annie. Okay, it's not going to be a gorgeous work of art, but I think it'll be an interesting experiment, which is what this is meant to be after all. Right, let that fully dry. This one's all dry now. I don't think it needs another coat. I think that's fine as it is. Maybe some of that green around the outside. Should we try another coat? Get it a little bit more solid, but I don't think it really needs it. And this is bare untreated wood, you know. If it has some kind of coating on, it'll probably be even better. I haven't tried them over gesso yet, don't know what it's like. Okay, this definitely needs another coat. Let's see if it improves with another coat. Doesn't like focusing on the shininess. I think it's definitely better, but I still find that very patchy. Right, see if this will take another coat now. Nah, I think I'll put the craft foam down as a bit of a fail. It definitely doesn't like that very much. The stone I love. The bowl's looking good. Let's see if that will take another coat. The problem seems to be when you try and do another coat on the porous, on the non-porous surfaces, which is where you really seem to need it, you have to go very lightly, because there is a tendency to just kind of wet and pull up what you've, you know, your previous layer. I guess you could heat set the previous layer and then go over it again. So what would be really fun to do would be to transfer a copy of a kid's painting or drawing to a little plate or cup or something, and colour it with, you know, with these. Would be amazing, wouldn't it? Make it permanent and give it to a parent or an auntie or granny or something. Yeah, that'd be fun. Right, this one definitely needs another layer. Whoa. This needs to be allowed to dry properly and heat set with an iron, but you can see it's not bleeding out or anything, is it? That's pretty good. And then I'll stitch around the outlines to make a proper thing out of it and look really cute then. Second coat over the shrink plastic seems to be working quite well, and as I say, I think by the time it's also shrunk, it will kind of concentrate the pigment anyway. Just put some little that second coat on the pink's coming out really well. I mean, I suppose that was straight over black, wasn't it? So okay. So I think that's looking good. That's looking good. Let's see. I just wanted to see what would happen if I tried dotting something over the top. So let's just try dotting with the green. I'm tempted now to go in between, and I'm not sure I like those dashed lines, so I'm going to see if I can go over again. Oh look, I'm getting a mixed colour now. I don't know why I'm fussing, because these aren't meant to be beautiful finished pieces, they're just meant to be little experiments, but you know, just can't help myself. So I need to shrink this one now it's dry. Let's see how that goes. Right, so here's all my finished little experiments. I've heat set my flower just to make it permanent, and you can see that the paint stays really soft and flexible, which is nice, although I know that's permanent. I could actually put that through the washing machine now. It's pretty incredible. And it also stays soft enough to be able to stitch into, so I've just started quickly. I just did some quick chain stitch and things around there. Yeah, so I could incorporate that into my little denim project. I use it as a little stitched in patch, do a bit of sashiko type stitching around it. That'd be quite fun. Here's the canvas with the magnet on the back, so I will be using that on my magnetic whiteboard. I think that's quite cute. This is the shrink plastic. I didn't make the hole big enough, but that's nothing to do with the pens. Of course, heating the plastic to shrink it has actually made this permanent as well. So, but it's come up it's really densely coloured. Yeah, it's really densely coloured. So yeah, if I'd have, you know, taken a bit more care and time, that would have been, yeah, really good. So I'll definitely have some more experiments with that. I could make some cute little charms for my jewellery and things. This is on the wood. Yeah, definitely. Even the sides have come up well covered now. I haven't done the back yet. Yep, I like that. That's my favourite thing probably. It's come out fine on the stone. That was a couple of coats, and it's come out fine on the china. So if I put that in the oven when I'm cooking dinner later on, what was it, 160 degrees for 50 minutes, I can make that permanent. And I do love the idea of using that to put a child's drawing onto a plate, or just get the child to draw onto the plate. You could always like give it a second coat afterwards if you felt you needed it. Just yeah, I think that'd be a really fun idea. The ones that I didn't think worked so well, which I've buried in here somewhere. Yeah, I gave that about 3 coats, and the trouble is once you start putting another coat on, it kind of reactivates that layer underneath, and yeah, and I found that the same when I tried it on glass before. So yeah, I think that's it. I wasn't impressed with that, and obviously the craft foam didn't work at all. But it will work on leather. I just haven't got a bit of leather handy to show you, but I know it will because I've tried that before. Yeah, so just having an experiment with them. I think they're brilliant, these paints. I really love them. Now I'm going to go on now and do some kind of a picture, kind of for the Scrawlr challenge piece, but I'll be cheating because I'm using this paper instead of what was in the box. So, and it's also bigger. So, but yeah, it will be inspired by the Scrawlr challenge for June, which was Electric Dreams. So but I think I'm going to put that in a separate video because this will be going on long enough as it is. So I hope you might have found that. It's always worth playing around in it and seeing what else we can do with the supplies we've got. So although initially I thought, oh, I'm not sure about these, I've actually quite enjoyed playing with them in the end. So yeah, so thanks very much for joining me today, and I'll see you again really soon in a minute, because I'm gonna do this picture now and do a speed through, and I'll do a part 2. Look for part 2 if you want to see the painting, drawing, whatever. I'm really going now. See you again soon. Bye. Still haven't done one of these for a week.